It's Divas That Care Radio. Stories, strategies, and ideas to inspire positive change. Welcome to Divas That Care, a network of women committed to making our world a better place for everyone. This is a global movement for women, by women, engaged in a collaborative effort to create a better world for future generations. To find out more about the movement, visit days.Care.com after the show. Right now, though, stay tuned for another jolt of inspiration.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Divas That Care. My name is Candace Gish. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning into today's program. I'm very excited. I'm going to be introducing you to a couple of our hosts on the Divas That Care and chatting with them about what they're up to, and so that you can get to know them also. If this is your very first time tuning into the Divas That Care, a huge welcome to you. The Divas That Care is now in its 11th season, and we are listened to in over 30 countries around the world. So thank you all for tuning in, because it's because of all of you guys that we've had these amazing guests in our program, and we continue to grow in our network. So thank you guys. All right, let's get started today. Today's guest is the amazing host from Divas That Care, Winnie, and her daughter, Imagia, and I'm so excited to have both of them on the program today. So welcome to the show, ladies.
Thank you for having us on.
Oh, I'm so excited. It's been a while since we've had a chance to chat. But before we kind of dive into everything, would you mind, each of you, kind of introducing yourself to our listeners today?
All right. Well, Winnie Lau here, the mother of the mother-daughter duo. And we reside in the beautiful country of Canada. And just really happy to be here to share our story and some wisdom. And hopefully you guys all leave with some value today.
And I am the daughter of the duo, Imagia. I'm 22 years old, and I'm also, this is like the first time we've been interviewed on a podcast, and I'm so excited.
Yay! Well, I'm just excited to have you guys. We're so excited to have you both as hosts on the Divas That Care network. And what is your focus of the Divas That Care? What is your show and the podcast going to be all about?
Would you like to speak to that, or would you like me to speak to that, Imagia?
Sure, I can speak a little bit about that. We mainly focus on other people's money stories. Like, we dive deep into what they've kind of experienced throughout their lifetime with money and just situations that they've been through. And yeah, I just really love listening to different people's journeys of money.
I love that.
Mm-hmm. And our program is just really meant to inspire, I think there's plenty of individuals out there who understand that money is really important, but not necessarily know how important it is until you really listen to someone's journey about, just the ripple effect that it has, even though it's just it's such an energetic experience. And yet, I don't know, it's just meant to bring more clarity about how important it is to honor the energy of money in our life.
You know what? And that's fantastic. I think a lot more people are really wanting to learn about that. We're scared of money. When we make money, we're not too sure what to do with money or how to keep that money. And it's wonderful because you and I have had the opportunity to know each other for quite a few years now, Winnie, and you have an amazing business where you actually teach people how to save their money. And that's why we were so excited when you decided to become a host on the Divas That Care, because I know that you'll be able to impact even more people around the world. So Winnie, let's talk about your business now, because this is something that I absolutely adore. And now that you have your daughter involved and you guys are doing this together as a mother-daughter duo, you are just inspiring and empower so many people.
Yes, thank you. It's such an honor to be able to do something like this and to be able to share how, if this is not just about, I think a lot of people's mind, it could come down to, just teaching kids how to budget. But it's not that. And I actually avoid the word budget, and I really like to use the word cash flow. because the cash flows in and out of our lives. And quite often budget, when we tend to learn how to budget. And if we somehow don't meet the criteria of the budget, there's something sort of disempowering about that. But when we learn how to manage our cash, it becomes a little bit more fluid, and we become a lot more, what's the word for it? We just become a lot more accepting that, the flow of our money moves from more to less in different times of our life. And we're not going to get discouraged just because, we don't have enough of it. Like, there's not that, we don't set ourselves up to feel a lack. It's all about how we think that matters the most in terms of feeling empowered and loving towards our relationship to money.
That's amazing.
Boom. Good job, Mom.
Well, I love how you explain it, because I think we don't grow up that way. We don't understand what it is to have that, and to be able to, the understanding of money is, and it's really important, I think, much more so now, because we're going through such a transition around the world, and teaching our children about the importance of money, I think is more crucial now than ever.
Oh, 100%, because, the evolution has changed so much. I mean, I can't even imagine. Imagine has even a different perspective than I do. I mean, we grew up when cash was still really cash and checks, writing a check, out of our checkbook, and cash, and it was really so much more of a physical experience. And, of course, and then we've evolved, and we're now seeing what it looks like to, where the flow of money is more of a digital experience. So there's nothing that replace, like that whole idea, like out of sight, out of mind, right? How do you, take something that was once a physical experience where you could see, exactly how much you had left right in front of you, to, to something where it's not as tangible, right? I mean, it's just easy to tap that debit card or tap that Visa card, right? And then check your balance later. So, definitely. Now more than ever, it is much more important to give our next generation the tools that they need to be 100% responsible and accountable for their own results, right? Because it's oxygen. Yeah. Whether we like it or not, it's not like the oxygen in the air, but it's oxygen in terms of how much we can experience in our lives with choice.
So I'm going to ask both of you this. How do you start teaching families? Because I know that you're focusing too on younger children, I should say, between, 7 to 11, and starting them younger. So how do you teach them about that? A lot of people, that's all we learn is we have our cards and we do that. Do you actually teach them with cash?
100%. I definitely, even to this day, I prefer to still use cash so I can see all the money that's coming in and out. For me, it's extremely important to see the physical aspect. And growing up, I think learning about money and being taught with money, and even my mom teaching me what each, like the value of $1 or, cash, like it was super important that cash was the way I was taught instead of just tapping the debit card.
I love that.
Yeah. I think that there's so much power in just actually spending money with like the physicality of cash and coins. Like there's just so much more comprehension of what you're spending, and even counting back, like simple things like that at a till, like all of that is super important, I think.
It's funny that you say that, because that's kind of how I learned how to do everything also. Tell us a little bit about the process. I've had the wonderful opportunity to have Winnie at my home to explain the process to me and my children, but can you guys kind of explain a little bit to our listeners today?
Yeah, so one of the things that we're working on right now, Candace, is we are working at creating an online program, sort of like a, go at your own pace kind of program for parents, to help them, walk through from start to finish over a period of time, how to set up essentially a system that will not, has to be set up by the parent, but that the child can also easily walk through and can also it's a system that will have the children and the kids coming to the parents to make sure that the parents stay on top of it, which is nice, because I think that's probably the hardest part for most parents, is to get into the habit of doing something new, especially if they feel like they may not be necessarily good at that. I mean, there's a lot of parents who believe that they believe and are really great with doing it by themselves. So this isn't necessarily for those parents. It's for, I think this is specifically for parents that, want to make it a priority and don't necessarily have a system in place of how they can implement this on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I mean, it's a mindset coaching with a system in place. That's more or less our formula for helping our parents out.
Well, and I love it, because you're helping the children, but in the long run, you're really helping the entire family, because the parents are learning a lot of skills also.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So I'm not sure if Imagine wanted to add to what I was saying before, but all I know, Imagine's not been at home now for 4 years. And I mean, maybe she can speak a little bit more to how it's brought us even closer together, even though we're not living together anymore.
Yeah. You and me both have definitely a different type of mother-daughter connection in regards to just my finances alone. I've been out of the house for 4 years now. And through that entire process, I have always come to my mom to help me manage my money. Like whenever questions come up, like she is the first person I call, and then we just hop on a Zoom call or phone call, and we just like figure it out. And we've always just had this connection where she always gives me the time. She always gives me the time. If I need help with something that I'm not quite sure how to manage, we're on a call. And then she's so patient with me. She's definitely so patient, but she's helped me just understand and de-stress on some of the areas of money that haven't experienced before. And me and my mom really connect over just even the feeling of money, or just watching it come and go. And I can't really, I don't even know how to explain it. It's just so much more of a feeling.
I love it. And that's a really amazing thing, because I think, well, I know for myself, it's not something that I ever talked to my parents about, but it's something that we hope over time that my children will talk to me about that, and we'll work through things also. So I think that's absolutely extraordinary. And to be able to help other parents do the same thing, Winnie, and I just think that you developing these programs is just a great thing.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think, although Imagine may not have been able to fully articulate, what some of those specific moments are, I'm able to share that, as I watch her, like, if it wasn't for the fact that I had been training her since she was age 4. And so actually the age group we're looking to deal with is like anywhere from like ages 5 to 12, like as long as they can read and
Mhm.
your child can understand full sentences, like it's a great time to start, right? And typically, I don't know, maybe Candace, because when I came over and shared this with your gals, I mean, not all of them were under the age of 12 either, but ideally, in my personal opinion, before they get too many hormones is a good time to start training them.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for having all of this preliminary, her constantly getting exposed to managing her cash throughout that whole entire time, I think that, like, I didn't have to convince you, Imagine, to set aside money and pay yourself first. Like, not at all. It didn't matter how much she was getting paid. Like that, it wasn't even a question in her mind whether or not she was going to pay herself first. It wasn't even a question. Like, Imagine,
Winnie,
you said it. Go ahead.
I'm going to ask you a question there. What do you mean by paying yourself first? Because some of our listeners are probably like, what does that mean?
So it just means that anytime, actually, you know what? Imagine can explain that.
It just means like anytime you get some sort of money coming in, you make a point to put money aside to yourself first. And you can really only, like, and a lot of people don't do that. They immediately pay their bills or any of that. You put money aside to yourself that you don't necessarily spend right away. You spend it later if it, is going to help you grow your money in some sort of way. And yeah, it's a really important step, I think, in feeling really confident just about yourself in general. Is just knowing that money comes towards you first, not towards your outer expenses.
And I love that, because that was something that I didn't do before I talked to you guys. Because I thought, oh no, as soon as I get money in, I have to pay right away. But when you explain that you should always put money aside for yourself first before you do that, it makes so much more sense. And I can see how that will help grow your money over a period of time, for, long-term purchases, long-term investments, or even short-term things that you're working your way up to.
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, it's, I'd love to take credit for that part of the system, but I honestly can't. I mean, I think that, there's been many great books like Think and Grow Rich, that is such a huge classic that has been out for, I think, almost a century. I'm pretty sure. Napoleon Hill. I can't really confirm that, but that book has been out forever. Hey, Candace?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm pretty sure even the Bible has written, that this principle is very important to practice. But like, I mean, I think the only thing that's really different here is that we're teaching our kids how to do it before they can even refuse to do it.
Exactly. Which is amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I also want to point out too that, like, I now being in my 20s and watching all my friends, manage, try and manage their money, or just watching them spend it in general, for them to learn what I was taught and have like a good grasp on it, they would have to unlearn all of their bad money habits and then relearn good new ones. But they've already just they've been in the same habit of using their money this way for so long, so it is so much harder for them that usually they don't like progress. So yeah, I just think younger and just learning all the good money habits right from the start is definitely the best way to go.
I think that is amazing advice too, because we do have a lot of listeners that have young families, and I think, like, you're right, starting them young is really important. And then helping them as they get older too, which is great. Oh my gosh. So ladies, I wanted to ask you too, you've got so much going on, and I love how you guys work. You're not in the same city, you're not even in the same province. How are you guys able to build this amazing business that you've able to do?
Well, Go ahead, Imagia.
I was just going to say there's been trial and error, but I've definitely put my butt more in gear, starting this all up by waking up early and being on Zoom meetings with my mom. And it was so different to like, usually like as soon as I moved out, we hadn't started this process yet. So I was just doing my own thing, but I actually talked to my mom more than ever. Like we talk to each other 6 days a week, and I actually see her face too. So I mean, I get a lot of my mom, and of course we bicker, but like you just got to keep showing up the next day and for each other. And it's definitely been a process, but more connected, I think, than ever since I've moved out.
I think it's fantastic. I am so for the family businesses. I actually come from a 3-generation business where I work with my mom and I work with my daughter in another family business that, it is so much fun because you have the opportunities to learn and grow from each other, from your experiences too. So I think that what you two are doing is absolutely fantastic. And, I'm wishing you guys all the best in all your endeavors. Last thing I want to ask you both too is, do you have any tips, tools, anything that you would love to share with our listeners?
I think one of the first tips and tools or tricks or whatever you want to go with in terms of feeling even more prosperity minded is that you have to decide that you want it. And you have to, it all starts with, even if you don't have much money to start, it just starts with the decision that you're going to change your habits and the way that you think so that you can attract something different into your world. And that's the most important place to start, is making that decision that you want a different trajectory. You want a different experience. You want to manifest a completely different family experience as it relates to how money can change things. And that and I guess the second thing would be is that you're open to welcoming the prosperity of money into your life. That will make in my opinion, that will make all the difference in the world, because you can't have that and hate money and think that if you have money that you're going to be greedy and all of that sort of stuff. So.
Love it.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much. One question I'm going to ask you is, how can our listeners get a hold of you? You do have an amazing company that I think that our listeners should go and check out. You do a lot of support for families. So Winnie, Magia, how can they get a hold of you guys?
So right now, we are hosts here on the Divas That Care as well. So you can always get a hold of us that way and leave a message. But we do have a website, cashsmartforlife.ca. That is also another way of being able to connect with us.
Yeah, the two main ways. We do have a Facebook page as well, but the website is definitely one of the best ways to get a hold of us, I think.
Yes, 100%.
Thank you guys so much. What I'm going to be doing for all of our listeners is that I will be posting their amazing website on our link here for our program. Make sure that you check it out, and you can send it to all your friends and family. Oh my gosh, ladies, thank you so much for being on my program today. It was such a pleasure having you both on. And I am so looking forward to your podcasts and perhaps having you back on. I know that you've got some things that you're going to be doing in the future here, and we would love to talk about them on the Divas here.
Candace, thank you so much for inviting us and just being such a gracious host.
Seriously, this was so much fun. I loved it.
Awesome. Well, you know what? I had fun and I love learning from you. And I'm just so inspired by both of you and everything that you're doing. So it was absolutely a pleasure having you both on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And a huge shout out to all of our amazing listeners. As I mentioned at the beginning of the program, it's because of all of you that we've continued to do our program for 11 years now and have amazing hosts come onto our program like Winnie and Imagia and all of our other hosts. So make sure that you check them out at days.This.com. And until next time, everyone, have a fantastic day.
Thanks for listening. This show was brought to you by Divas That Care. Connect with us on Facebook, on Instagram, and of course on divasthatcare.com, where you can subscribe to our newsletter so you don't miss a thing.